What's up, guys? Welcome to the YouTube channel for Ciara's Pod. If you're listening to this right now, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I hope you guys love this video. We will be talking about why I changed my podcast name all of a sudden. This will just be an audio version. I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's get straight into the podcast episode. Okay, guys, so I changed my podcast name. So I decided to change it to Sierra's Pod. Well, at first, I kind of had a name already that was dead set for a minute, and it was called the Scorpio Pod. And I really loved the name, and well, I'm a Scorpio, so I'm very passionate of my sign right now. But I just thought, throughout a few days, I was just like, Scorpio Pod, it doesn't really make sense. If it's a podcast, just about me, but mostly me talking about like topics related to society and culture, how can I incorporate, how does that fit me being a Scorpio? Like, it's not a podcast about, astrology or just zodiac signs. It's just a podcast. It's the same podcast that I have created originally, the Sociology of Podcast. So I was just like, I want it to be like a little bit of a change. Like, yes, the sociology of podcasts, but it's more than just talking about the sociology of different topics. It's also about, you know, me and how I interpret things, and from the things that I've studied at college, the things that I've done, the tools that I use even today when analyzing certain topics and issues. So that was basically why I changed the podcast name. I came up with the name in a weird way. I was redoing my website for, updating like my different cover arts and stuff. And I put like in my about saying that this podcast is Ciara's Pod, you know, podcast. And I was like, oh wow, that sounds way better than the Scorpio Pod. Like, it's just me, it just describes me. It's my podcast. I basically put like along the lines of, this is Ciara's Pod, this is her opinions. It's her opinions only. It's not really facts, so you might not disagree or agree or disagree with the things that she says, but it's her podcast and she can do whatever she wants with it. I'm speaking in third person. But and I'm like, yeah, you're right. Me, the one that's typing this stuff, creating a website, I'm like, yeah, Ciara's Pod. That sounds way better. Like, it's my name and it's my podcast. So I'm like, that's so like quick, and why did I not think of this before? But then in my head I was like, well, you're not really like out there in the podcast world, so for it to just be Ciara's Pod, it's like, why don't you just use that name in the future? But like, why not use it now? I mean, I need to manifest my plans with this podcast and just other things that I want to do. So yeah, just name it Ciara's Pod, Ciara's Podcast. I mean, that's what it is, right? So yeah, that's basically how I changed my name. I wanted to change my name for a minute. I was like, the Sociology of Podcast, it's a good name, but I wanted it to be like, okay, like it's about me and what my opinions are, and maybe even have guests and stuff putting their 2 cents in as well, and maybe agreeing and disagreeing. That's what sociology is mainly about, especially when it comes to research. You look for different like opinions and like different facts and stuff, and put it together and interpret these facts and opinions in your own way, and how you view these certain situations. That's basically my last 4 years of college. I always did like papers and stuff, and having to like basically form an opinion based off the facts, or just persuade my opinions to influence my teachers on my thoughts and opinions on certain issues. So, what to expect from this new, it's not really a new season, but it's just more like these new episodes. So I have pre-recorded 10 episodes so far, and some of them are like just discussions. Some of them are of me looking back on different projects that really have inspired me and that I think that would be good to put in the podcast. My goal was to record 10 episodes and then um, post them all in different times. And I thought it would be way smarter for me to do that since I do have a job now. And I thought that I can totally do the podcast if I take the time and record and edit and all these things, and just take my time with it instead of just recording in the same week, editing in the same week, and then posting it, and then just that's it. I want to put my time and dedication into this podcast project that I have and not give up on it and just keep on going and just keep putting content. It doesn't matter if it's like me doing the it's just things that I like to do, and I think that people would be interested in seeing. And it's not me just talking ish on a microphone. No, it's real stuff. I think I am a solo podcaster in terms of like the different podcasting categories. I remember a few days ago I got an email from the service I'm using for me to do the podcast, and it talks about different categories of podcasters, and also that one that fits me was a solo podcaster, someone who has their own podcast and they just talk about almost anything they want to, but the good part is they can go wherever they want. But the bad part is, or the negatives, is that finding things to talk about. And I did struggle with the last couple months of finding things, but things just came to me mostly, thinking really long and hard, like, okay, what can I really talk about that I think that could, like, give my audience, like, oh, wow, like, this episode really inspired me. Okay, like, things like that. So that was one of the hardest things, but I did it. Um, I was able to do 10 episodes and record them and edit them all. And sometimes you can be a little bit repetitive, or sometimes the subjects should be repetitive. But for me, I want it to be like different things I can do and continuing on doing things, like trying new things. Like, I just created a video and audio of me describing one of my projects that I did in the past. I like recorded myself as like I basically was like did like a voiceover, and I've never done one before, and it turned out really good. I really enjoyed doing it, and I hope I can do more. But you'll see like what I'm talking about. I'll post the episode or talk about the episode. You'll see the episode and later on in my social medias. I'll probably talk about that. But yeah, I'm trying to do new things, trying to be creative. I'm not just speaking in the microphone. I want it to be other outlets that I can use to put myself out there, rather it be creating an infographic, rather it's doing blogs, TikTok videos, things like that. I just want it to be, fun. So, yeah, now that I am officially a college graduate and I have a part time job, and now I can just put focus on my podcast now and working on that and doing things that make me happy, which is doing podcasts and creating my own imagery. So yeah, I want to thank you guys so much. If you guys have been listening to me since I first started a few months back, thank you guys so much for listening and supporting my podcast journey. It means a lot. Um, and I want to continue doing this for a while. I want to see how far I can go. And I am not giving up hope. I'm going to just post and post. I don't care how many people are listening to it, as long as one person or even myself, is inspired or just listens to it, then that's all that matters. Who cares about, that stuff? I'm trying not to, you know, if it's just, one, two, three, 10 people, who cares? Someone is listening to you. And so, yeah, that's basically the episode. Just me talking about why I changed my podcast name. And yeah, I am currently changing my social medias and pages that I've created for the podcast right now. So I will upload all the links to my social media pages, like the updated names, and the link to my website. It's going to change because I changed the names and stuff. And yeah, thank you guys so much. That was the end. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys have a really, really great week, day, night, wherever, whenever you're listening to this. So yeah, bye guys.